Hello, and welcome to another video devlog for Pneumagination. This will be going over the version 0.12 update that is now in the Godot engine rather than Unity. So, for this, in the past few versions, I have not made a devlog since about December. Lots of things have changed for the game. We have now gone from individual maps that you can build in to now infinite worlds that you can build in forever with different structures and such. I think this is a better way to let people build as much as they want and as big as they want. But to do that, I needed to switch to Godot because Unity's shaders and ray tracing and stuff did not really mesh well with the type of infinite terrain I was trying to do. So I tried to just switch to another engine to see how that turned out, and I really like Godot so far. Godot makes it way easier to prototype. I can just kind of script up whatever I want, throw it in there, and it just works. There's not a lot of connecting different classes together to make everything work. It can just be very independent and just kind of cobbled together, and it works, and I can go back and refine it later on. So I've gotten a ton of progress done in this. So let's boot up a game real quick. So here we can see the loading screen for the chunks generating, so it will slowly generate and then I will be put into the world. Alright, and here we are in the world. So this is now made out of the brushes that I talked about in the last video. Those were let's place one down, let's see. So these were these cubes that you could select any face of, and you could stretch them in any direction you wanted. Let's see, I can get this one, I can make it really thin like a wall. And that was the concept, and you can move all the vertices and all that. So now the terrain is built out of these meshes. So these right here, if I mine these, it is built out of this, and that. 3 different brushes turned into ramps. And a majority of the development of this infinite terrain was this smoothness you get. In Blender, there's a function called Auto Smooth that lets you smooth faces based on their angles, where these will be really sharp angles and they will be flat, but it will smooth out here. And that was a whole chunk of my code that I had to work out. If we go into here, in the Worlds Gen settings, I spent, and you can see in the commit logs, I spent so much time trying to get all this to work. It's in total just placing and mining down. It is almost 2,000 lines of code, and some object definition around here. But the main thing was trying to get the smoothness to work with the fact that my brushes could intersect each other and be inside each other, and how to figure that out. So I had a solution where all the vertices of every face is split up individually per brush, per face of brush, and then they are compared. If any of the vertices match position, combine those, and then average normal position out. And that gives this result of having this smooth terrain everywhere. But it was not easy because it seems like most of the algorithms in Blender and in other places will have a pre-merged mesh and then split it up from there. And I had to have a pre-split mesh and merge it from there. So I had to figure this out almost completely on my own. And it took about a week or 2 straight of just doing that. But now the terrain looks really, really good. If I were to change the max angle to make these back to being flat shaded, it looks very awful. And I can now get away with just having 3 brushes here, and that looking pretty smooth. I can reduce the amount of polygons I need for this generation. So now the way the surface is applied with these smoother brushes is not perfect. There's examples like this where 2 corners are just kind of connecting to each other. And that's just kind of to deal with all the complexities of making something like this. I would have to create multiple hundreds of different scenarios of how certain things should connect. I just kind of went with the quick and easy route of generate all these blocks first as a voxel grid, and then just see which air blocks are next to it and generate a mesh there. It looks perfectly fine. I mean, there's some weird stuff like here. These corners always will stick out, but generally it looks extremely smooth, and I like it. And I like the kind of just these weird round edges. It makes everything kind of look like a bunch of pillars. And I could have used just straight ramps to connect vertices, and that would have made everything perfectly angled. But I liked adding these kind of humps to the ramps. So like with this right here, it just kind of has a little ridge to it, and that makes it look nice. And yeah, here's some of the pillars, for example, here. These just kind of half circles that are always around here. So I think it looks very great. And so after all that mess, I then went on to terrain generation, and that wasn't so bad. I did learn to do it like how Minecraft does it nowadays, and use a bunch of splines to control the terrain after you apply the noise map. And that's led to making it very easy to kind of control what I want here. I think the hardest was getting these caves to function correctly. And they still don't go too far. Oh, that one's actually goes pretty far down. But most of them kind of end really early. But I'm very happy with this result so far. And in this terrain, you now have 3 different biomes. It is desert, grass, and a sort of, I'm calling it a quarry biome for now. It mainly has laterite in it as the surface. And then all the biomes have biome-independent generation. So there are flatlands, because that's, this game is supposed to be restaurant building place. So there are plenty of flatlands that you can just build straight on. You don't have to mine out all this. But as I've spawned here, I've spawned in a very mountainous biome. And I've tried to get some unique generation that I don't see in other places. I used a lot of Voronoi generation to get these overhangs, but they kind of create these just weird shapes that I'm not used to in other generated games that looks very cool. And then they're combined with some mountainous terrain below it. So as you get higher up in the mountains, they will just be Voronoi noise. And if you saw in the last video with just the walk around and that huge mountain I explored at the end that then like turned into floating skies at the very top, that's kind of what's going on here. And then yeah, I got those 3. I got caves, and that's basically it. There's not much going on here. I might add a little bit more noise to make it not as smooth, but I'm pretty happy with this result. I was hoping I would find another biome by now to show. Oh, there we go. There is the quarry biome. So let's go over there. And another part that you may have noticed is now that there are roads that go along places. Let's actually see. Oh, that's a very small biome. Is there any roads in the distance? Here's the photo mode. There's actually no roads here. That's surprising. I have roads generate to generally be within render distance somewhere, so there's always an enticing place to go to. So here's all the laterite caves, and there's very nice SDFGI is being used here, and it creates this very nice global illumination. It has a lot of reds to these caves. I don't know if it's going to be good for the final game because I need to be having a lot of dynamic lights for animatronic shows. And I still want to go with the thing of not having any actual light sources available. It'll just be emissive materials. So we'll see if this thing's good enough for that. If you notice, if I break blocks, a bunch of blocks here, the lighting won't update. It'll just be pitch black. I have to go into photo mode and back out, and then it generates. But apparently that's going to be patched in a later version to let you possibly kind of select when parts need to be regenerated, and that'd be good. But otherwise, this is a really great solution, and it's super cheap. My computer's usually not running hot at all with this. All right, here's a road. So these roads always connect to other roads. They use the same Voronoi algorithm that with Voronoi, you can determine different regions of areas, and in those regions, I just check if you're on the border of a region, and if so, then you are within a road. So, and eventually I will have, with these diagonal roads, I am going to add extra code that if it's on a corner, that these will become half and half tiles. So that way roads going diagonally will look completely straight like they are when they are going straight like this. So, but I also can't deal with the it being a little bumpy when you're going up ramps. So, and I hope one of these roads will split off so I can show that. So yeah, when since the different regions are always a certain size, because Verneuil works on a grid, you can always, if you walk in one direction, you can usually always find your way back because all the roads can connect to your original destination if you follow them. So I think this is just a good way to get people to want to explore in weird directions. There's not just openness that you don't know where to go. So if anyone's kind of paralyzed and where they want to explore, they can just follow these roads and they won't get lost. And when it splits, like over there, you can place down a sign that says, this is where I came from and this is where I'm going. And then you can find your way back and start marking territory. And probably when, ooh, there's a big lag spike there. I'm still needing to optimize the generation code a bit. I might make it to where, since these regions are actually defined, I might make it to where in photo mode you can select one of these large regions and give it a name or something. So you can name it a city or whatever. That'd be kind of neat. And this is also, it's hard to remember exactly how much I've explained in the videos of how the game will function with customers. But customers that visit your stores will spawn on these roads and walk down them. All right, as you see here, the road now changes now that we're in the grassy hills biome. Customers will walk down these paths and that will lead them to your store. So you will have to kind of build your store on these roads. But you can also create your own roads, and then they will follow exclusively these paths. Unless they somehow get lost, then they'll just wander. But that way, kind of like if you've ever played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, you can kind of manage where everyone goes. And I think that'd be very fun. So there's that, and it's actually turning night. There is a full day and night system in this. And the fog actually will dynamically change based on what time of day it is. So in the early morning, the fog will be really rolled in, and especially at night, it'll be very close to you, so it's hard to go out at night. But it'll be pretty out there in the day. And so yeah, there is going to be a fixed render distance in this game, just so that way everyone's on the same page. And I think there's a lot of gameplay reasons to keep a fixed render distance. I go into it on my website. These video devlogs are not enough to cover the insane amount of ideas and stuff I have for this game. So always check out my website. I've revamped it to include every article from Tumblr or just ones I post regularly. So it is now the archive of everything I've ever posted. So if you want, you can just click on the Pneumagination tag and you can see everything I've talked about this game for the past few months. And I post about it almost every day, especially now that I've been getting more into this. So there's a lot more I go into about why to keep a fixed render distance. Oh yeah, I have actually not, because there was that gap since December. There was another part that I worked on in the Unity build that I never got to show. And it is a node graph system that I'm going to be using for controlling your store and animatronics. So even though this looks like Minecraft, there's not going to be any sort of block updates or redstone or anything. When you, let's say, place down an animatronic, they will create a node in a node graph that you'll be able to pull up. You'll be able to connect them to different power of whatever nodes you have. You could have arithmetic nodes. You could have just straight electricity going through. You could have your keys. I'll actually pull up something on the screen right now of the test that I did in Unity for this. And there was these key nodes that if you press them, they would power whatever it was plugged into. So that's kind of the idea I'm going for here, is that it's going to be you'll have multiple layers you can use, but it'll be these very complex node groups that you can attach everything to, and that will make it super simple for people who are just starting out. If they get an animatronic, or probably that animatronics will be a lot farther in, when they're creating their first store, their first real kind of like connection thing they'll make is like a light switch. So they'll have a light switch node, and they'll know to flip it on and off, or they'll use a keystroke node where they press a key and that turns the light on, and it will slowly get crazier and crazier from there. There could be like an and/or gate, to where if you flip two different light switches, it'll do two different parts of the facility. I'll have it to where there's like daylight sensors, so when it's nighttime, it'll turn on street lamps you connect it to. So I'm going to let the player get more and more used to how this functions, and let that kind of slowly get them into the complex animatronic stuff, because I'm not going to hold their hand for any of it. They're going to set up a tape deck node. They'll set up a system that lets it connect it to each animatronic. I'll let them connect up their PSI through a different node. I'll let different types of wiring go through. So for PSI, electricity, I'm planning on also storage of items, so you can transfer items through these nodes as well. And a few other things, possibly. It depends on how complex I want it to get. But I want players to have complete and full control over their animatronics. I think that will be way more fun and way more creative to see what they do with it. So it's actually, it's getting very dark there. I don't want to, some people might have some very dark screens and they can't see what's going on. So let's start up a new world. As you can see, it starts always in the morning, so this is with the fog really rolled in. So, but that's kind of the idea there, is just getting players to start with making a little tiny store, like a gas station. They sell some food or something, and it progress more and more into bigger stores, and eventually they will have full animatronic extravaganzas with all this cool stuff. And again, if you go on my website, there is so much more I have not even spoken of planned. I just kind of want to give you the general idea of how it's going to work. So yeah, I think that will all work. I think just this simple system of being able to break a block, place it down, stretch it this way. You got a wall. Let's see, move back to this. And there's your place. You just add a few more walls. There's your store. Add some survival elements to get you to gather resources and stuff. And you can have fun getting people, like here's a crossroads right here, so you can get 4 different groups of customers coming in. They spot your location, they go buy stuff, and you can use that to get more cool things. I think that is a better way of doing this game than kind of the original simulation aspect of like you get one plot of land, a predefined map, and you can build some stuff in it, but you can't really expand past that. I think just going full-on kind of Minecraft mode on this will be way cooler, because I think with how quickly I've gotten all of this to work in just a few weeks, I think I have the technical know-how to pull this off and make it 10 times better than that. I was worried there was going to be scope creep moving to this, but I think I can do it so far. So the next plan, and you can go ahead and download this right now. I would highly encourage. I mean, I know it's basically just some simple Minecraft stuff right now. There's no animatronics in it. But I'd like to get feedback on just how this is, how players are enjoying this so far. And next update will likely be multiplayer. That's another reason why I'm wanting to switch to this, because and why I'm doing the node system in the first place is because I think it'd be cool for people to play together with this stuff, which means you could create an entire animatronic store with show tapes and everything, and your friend could join and watch them with you in real time. You could edit it, you could record show tapes together. I think with it being this complex node system, that could work. I think that would be very cool, but I have to start planning that very, very early into development. So right now, this is just kind of server-side generation and some editing of blocks. So now that I've got the basics down, I need to add a multiplayer immediately. So the next update will be multiplayer probably. And then hopefully after that, I will add the most basic parts of the node system, because the node system is going to be very complex, trying to get networking and syncing across it. That's going to be probably the hardest part I do. But then, I'll just do some simple, like you got a key, you can press, and a light bulb turns on. And now people can do that in multiplayer, and they'll already start having lighting for their houses they're building here. So I think that's a good start to this. And with the way I'm trying to build this, it should be able to be prototyped much faster. I can just add a new node here, add a new block here, add a new texture, add a new prop, and development can happen way faster than what I was doing previously. So I hope you enjoyed this devlog. If you have any questions about this, again, check the website, or just leave a comment below if you have any thoughts about this new direction, or any ideas you want to hear from me about how would this work or how would that work. Let me know. Again, this is completely open sourced. You can modify it or play it whenever you want. You can see anytime I add a commit to the game, almost every single day. You can download the current build and run it yourself and see what I'm doing in it. So feel free to explore it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video or in the next post on my website.